Hey, so welcome to another episode of the Don't Just Sit There podcast with Aidan and Ryan. We put this podcast out on the first and third Wednesday of the month. So last month was a little weird. There was an extra Wednesday in there, but here we are again. There's been a few changes. I think the last time we talked, it was you were going into a weekend and we were talking about how all you were going to do was watch basketball.
Play basketball
and watch basketball. And then tragedy struck.
That was early April. We really have released.
Yeah, I don't know. Marshall tells us we're good, but
we recorded. That was April 4th.
But show the world your foot, man.
I don't know if you guys can see it.
There you go.
This is as good as I can walk on this. So April 4th is when we recorded. I only remember that.
Pretty big that you can walk again.
Yeah.
I'm
him. Marshall's getting a picture. He's going to post it on the live stream. But on April 4th, we recorded a Q&A episode. And we're talking about like trusting God.
We need to upload the picture of...
No way.
No.
There's no way they let us post that. So anyway, to record April 4th.
Yeah.
And I think we were doing like our challenges. And one of them was like trusting God with my weekend or something like that.
That's right.
And I was like, I got a great weekend ahead of me. I got a wedding tonight, basketball. It was a Final Four. It was a Final Four weekend. So I had my high school alumni annual alumni tournament. So I went to the wedding, left the wedding early. A friend on staff, Samantha Williams' wedding, left early, playing our first game. We're like 2 minutes in, playing against my brother's class, 2017 versus 2018. We're going back and forth. I'm dominating. Just kidding. It's the first 2 minutes in. I go for a rebound and I land, and I've never rolled my ankle or anything. And I just feel like my leg vibrate. I'm like, that felt weird. And I don't know if I tried to plant, and then I stepped and I got a travel called on me. I fall to the ground, and as I'm falling, I kind of look to my left, and I just see my foot facing upward as I was falling downward. And I'm like, oh no. So that's when I realized, if you want to see a picture, you can ask me because it's disgusting. It was a subtalar dislocation, but no breaks, almost through the skin. There's an
crazy. There was no breaks.
Yeah. I FaceTimed Ryan in the ambulance.
Oh, man.
His face, we should post that. His face. And then Jacob was like, is that his foot or something like that?
It used to be.
They put me in a joke of an air cast. I mean, they're all volunteers at Milford. We don't have like paid fire rescue, but they're great. Throw me to the ambulance. They put me in the ER. They set it. And then that was a month ago. And now I'm walking. So I had a cast for 2 weeks. Physical therapy like crazy. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Imagine you're walking like north on 27th Street and you reach O Street and you want to keep walking north, but your foot decides it just wants to go straight west on O. That's what that thing looked like. It was like a right angle. Your ankle was at a right angle.
Yeah. But no break at all. It was so funny seeing the nurses walk because the fire and rescue, they called the wrong Brian.
You were incredibly chipper that evening. Were you not in pain?
It felt weird, but it was just like buzzing. But they adrenaline. I didn't cry. No, I cried a little bit.
Did you really?
It was like 5 minutes of screaming, and then I was like, and then I was like, Zach, call mom. My brother was there. I'm like, call mom. And he's like,
that's my favorite part.
He's getting
I didn't hear
pictures
this
of
part of the story. Call mom. Was it mom or mommy?
I didn't call mommy. Right. Mom and daddy and mommy. They're in California, so they get a call from our neighbors. They thought my dad goes, it's just a sprain. He's fine.
Yeah, give me a break.
Like, why are they getting in an ambulance for that? And then I FaceTime him on this nurse's phone.
Yeah,
they took my phone from me. They're like, oh, and then they're saying that.
You remembered your dad's phone number well enough to FaceTime? Yeah, that's good.
But then I had my brother send me your phone number that I memorized. So then I called that.
You don't have my number memorized? No. Aidan, come on, man.
I have your location, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a month ago.
Yeah.
We have not recorded since.
Yeah, I don't know that we have, actually.
No, we haven't. Because
I still think, anyway. So, big deal. That was a big deal for you.
Big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Big deal.
So, we said that this week we don't want the podcast to be something where we always follow up on a sermon and we just talk about whatever Brian or I talked about or whatever anyone else is talking about. However, the series that we're going through is intended to be very practical and we're trying to be a little more intentional with a call to action, because we feel like these areas of our lives as disciples are challenging, and so we need to be we need to respond with some type of action, even if the action is just to think about it more, consider it more.
Right.
So we thought actually today it'd be good to follow up on this last weekend's message on technology. So, so scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, 1 being it was just okay.
How'd you do?
I'm kidding.
-4.
No, I think overall thoughts on technology, not on the sermon.
So for those who don't know, the series is called Everyday Disciples.
Everyday Disciples.
And each week we're going through I'm calling it an issue.
Yeah, kind of a challenge that we face.
Yeah.
And the concept Brian started by just talking about how we're all disciples. And that's something that I think sometimes disciples are set up as super Christians. There's an article that we posted after the first week, and it's titled, Is Discipleship for Super Christians Only? And so it's a little bit like, are there 2 categories of Christians? There are Christians, and then there are people who are really serious, and those are disciples. And we're saying, no, the New Testament call is for people to become disciples of Jesus. That's the only call there is.
Yeah.
And so we're all trying to consider then, what's it mean for me to be a disciple now, and face challenges now in this moment, in the 21st century. So that's the idea that we're going with. So general thoughts on the challenges of technology for you. Curious about that.
Well, you brought up in your sermon, you made a comment about, okay, I'm younger than you. Okay.
Yes.
Elephant in the room.
A lot
could be
younger.
my father. Okay. Way younger. So when I hear technology, I think in your sermon, you talked about like flying as technology. My immediate thought technology is like smartphones,
for sure.
movies, social media. So
For sure. The only thing I wanted to, technology is much bigger than that, right? Like, and that's where it's like, to say technology is bad is a really silly thing to say. It's not all bad. There's a number of, and smartphones aren't bad. So I think I just wanted to acknowledge advances in technology have made the world wonderful in so many ways.
Yeah.
So,
well, I appreciated the questions you posed to us, because like tonight, we're filming this the Tuesday after. We have a life group tonight, and I can't wait to dive in, because we have 10, 20-somethings, how do you say it? 20-something year olds in our life group who are like, we have a perspective on technology, phone, social media, movies, any sort of media that's very unique, because we've kind of grown up with it, but not a ton. So I'm just excited to talk about it, of like, okay, it seems like there seems to be, we read the Ancient Generation book. We recommended that to the church too, didn't we? Yeah. It seems like there's
not a Christian book, but it's the most recent research on the effects of especially social media.
Yeah. It's mind blowing. It seems like there's kind of a shift in the culture of, we're like finally starting to look at social media, technology, phones, whatever, and kind of realizing maybe this is hurting us. And it seems like our life group and my friends are starting to realize that too, where it's like, growing up, I remember the big rule was you couldn't have Facebook till you were 13. So I had Facebook growing up. You didn't have Facebook growing up. What did you have anything growing up for social media? Let's talk about social media. Did you have anything growing up?
Well, no, there was no such thing.
When did MySpace come out? Marshall?
MySpace might have come out when I was in high school, maybe.
Like
I remember when the internet came into the world.
MySpace is August 1st, 2003.
Oh, 2003. So I was graduated from college when MySpace came out.
I was 5.
Yeah.
When did you when did you first touch a computer?
Well, I mean, there were computers growing up. I used to,
like in a library?
There were home computers, but it was pretty rare.
Did you guys have one?
We had I don't even remember what it was called. One of the first Apple computers. And there was this game where you could play something called Barrel Jump, and you name how many barrels you want to jump over, and then you hold the space bar down for as long as you think it would take for the motorcycle to make the run up to the barrel, and then you let go and you just watch X's go across the screen. And it would be like, you failed. That wasn't long enough. Or you made it, and that was
you put that for hours probably.
No, I don't think hours. There were games like Load Runner. Load Runner was a legit game. But my neighbor had a computer that was it was color instead of black and green. Yeah. Generally, it was Apple computer was green. So I remember when we got a dial-up modem, right? Like 14 something K download speed. I mean, just ridiculously slow. And you would hear the phone dial, and it would kill your phone line. You couldn't make any calls from your house because the phone line was being used.
Different time. That sounds like a World War II era.
Yeah,
right there.
It was.
So all that to say, it seems like as we've grown, like I've had social media, I've gotten rid of social media, but I had it, I think the age was 13, and that was when it got bigger. And it almost feels like technology and phones was almost viewed by my culture as like, it's all good. There's no downside to this. This is fun. This is good. Everyone should have it. It's how we connect. Like seeing the benefits of the first time, like, wow, look what we can do now with all this technology. Yeah. But it just seems recently, the last 2 or 3 years, probably more than that, we're starting, people my age are starting to go, okay, I'm starting to see like I get more anxious when I'm on my phone, or things suffer in my life when I'm watching movies nonstop, or I'm posting stuff nonstop. So it just seems like there's kind of a change. I'm looking forward to combos tonight with my life group of just kind of.
Because how old are you?
26.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder, do you think, it'd just be interesting to talk tonight with your group about, is that because some of your use is catching up with you, or is that because you've hit an age where you're thinking about it differently? Just interesting to know. It'd be interesting to know what everyone says. So I think one of the things that, like this goes back to Brian's book, God's Not Like That. One of the things he talks about is our families are formative. None of us comes into life or even becomes a Christian with a neutral view of God. Mm-hmm. We've been impacted either positively or negatively. I think one of the things that we've loved talking about as a staff when it comes to discipleship is there's no such thing as someone who's not spiritually formed. Mm-hmm. We were being impacted and influenced all the time.
Right.
And so, if you, as you come to Christ, you're not coming as a blank slate. You're coming with things. I sometimes think there are things I need to learn from Jesus. There are also some things I need to unlearn with him. He needs to help me unlearn. And part of the process of following him is unlearning things that I took for granted or that I didn't know were shaping me negatively. And it seems like we're at a moment a little bit where, at least with some aspects of technology, we're learning that there are some things we need to unlearn. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's influencing us more than we think.
Well, you can remind me, I think you've shared this on the pod before with one of your hesitations with technology, more so like news, but also social media. You've said in the past, it makes you aware of information across the world that you have no idea about before. And it makes you almost feel like you have to hold all that. Can you speak on that? Do you remember bringing that in the podcast?
I don't know if I said it in here, but I think about this a lot. Like the internet or social media, X, which is a horrible name.
Formerly Twitter.
Twitter was a much better name.
Yeah.
It extends my world to the literally the world, And so I can learn about tragedies in real time all around the world. And the question is, as human beings, is there a ceiling to how much we can care about stuff? And if so, when I'm getting told about tragedies and things I need to care about everywhere, does there come a point where I get fatigued? I can't care about everything. And does my care about what's happening in, Mozambique, somewhere in Africa, does my care about that, not that it's not important and not tragic, it is, but does my knowledge of that, my awareness of that, my emotional investment in that make me lose capacity to care about what's right in front of me because I'm just being extended so far. And I think that's real. I think that's a very real thing where it's like we're now living, even though we're locally, like we're in Lincoln, but man, our minds, our emotions are all over the world.
Right.
And everything there is to be enraged about, everything there is to be sad about, everything there is to be appalled about, all of that stuff's getting pushed to us. And I just start to ask the question, like, do we have the capacity for that? I don't know that we do.
I mean, almost creating us to be like pessimistic and cynical, like there's just no hope in the world. Because a lot of your sermon was about just challenging us to think, how is it shaping you? Like, how is social media shaping us? And if we're like Brian shared that he like in our interview, he just stopped watching the news altogether.
Yeah.
Like, he's done with that.
Right.
Because he said the news just meant to scare you, keep you in fear, keep you locked in. So they just throw stuff. So if you on your phone watch the news and everything is just the world's ending nonstop, like how is that shaping you? And it just seems like one of the misconceptions we have about technology is like it doesn't really impact me that much, or it doesn't, because it doesn't. I don't know if it's for some reason, especially with me growing up in my story with social media, it doesn't really impact me. But now being on the other side of it and not being on social media as much, just seeing the reality of like, I downloaded Twitter last week and it was overwhelming of how much information I had. And it's like, once you're kind of away from that, it's like once you stop eating sugar for a while, go drink a soda and you're like, oh man. I had a middle schooler who was drinking a Code Red Mountain Dew, 77 grams of sugar Sunday morning. And he told me he had 10 of them yesterday.
That's fuel.
There's
that's
no
fuel.
He's like 4'1", like just, no, is that tall? I don't know. Small guy. Anyways,
he had 10 of them.
That's what he claims. And his friend's like, dude, he's a lunatic. Like we went on middle school retreat. He didn't sleep the entire time just because he didn't want to. He's like, why would I sleep?
Why would you? Yeah.
He's hilarious. Where was I going with that?
Talking about how much information you got when you downloaded Twitter.
Yeah. Where did that story come from though? I don't know. It's interesting, but it was overwhelming of like, when you don't have sugar for a while and you drink a soda. Yeah. So if you're away from social media and technology for a while, once you watch, you're like, this is totally shaping me. I'm already a person who overthinks. My mind doesn't stop. So why would I keep feeding stuff where it's just like random facts of news that are really, some stuff really heavy or stuff across the world that I can't do anything about. Now that's just in my head.
Yeah.
And I think it seems like when you ask that question, how's it shaping you? I don't think we're being honest unless we acknowledge it is shaping you. Like you said, everyone's being formed. And I think we need to acknowledge the power and influence that technology has in our life, good and bad, and go from there.
One of the books we recommended that's on the website, if you just go to lincolnberean.org, there's a link you can click to go to some of the resources that we're suggesting each week. It's called Unintentional. And I think that's the call for me, is not necessarily telling people what to do or to say social media is across the board bad. I'm not saying that. But I do think most of us are unintentional. And so we're just kind of drifting, and we're drifting wherever all of this stuff wants to take us, you know? And now the thing that's important to keep in mind is whoever's crafting social media, designing it, all that kind of stuff, the news, when we consume 24/7 news, all that kind of stuff, they're being very intentional. And they're trying to take us somewhere. And so if we go in unintentionally, man, we are just gonna, the current of where they want to take us is it's going to be, we can't resist it unless we're being thoughtful about it.
Yeah.
But it seems like most of us, when new tech comes, we just dive in. You know, it's like, man, AI is amazing. We just dive in, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot about AI that is amazing.
Yeah.
But the call is always to be thoughtful, to think about how this stuff is impacting us, how it's impacting others.
Right.
And so that's the call, that call to be intentional is a really important call, I think.
So then how have you, again, I've mentioned, I kind of grew up with it from 13 on. 72?
73.
Yeah.
I'm 46.
The fact that you had to think about it shows how old you are.
Yeah.
40, 44. Yeah. How have you like intentionally, because I know you're not big, you don't post a lot. I know you have social media, but you're not like all over it all the time. How have you found ways to be intentional with social media technology as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I think I do. That question I asked, like, am I using it or is it using me?
Yeah, that was a good one.
You know, I like Twitter.
X.
There's a couple things that I like it for. Primarily Husker football news in real time.
Yes.
But then also some world events. But then, you know, I follow people like Gavin Ortland, Justin Brierley. There are thoughtful Christians that are posting things on there that I find quite helpful.
Oh yeah.
So I've had to craft that experience pretty thoughtfully so that I'm not getting fed just crazy stuff and unhelpful stuff, foolish stuff. You know, now I'm you know me. I mean, one of our staff members bought me a hat that says have more fun, you know, because
kind of boring.
Yeah, kind of boring.
Boring guy.
I think we've talked about this.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff that happens on, at least if I just start drifting, it's just, the word that comes to mind is shenanigans. It's just silliness. And I have to ask myself the question, am I taking care of my responsibilities in life? For example, most people say I have no time, too busy. And I'm like, well, how much time am I mindlessly giving to just shenanigans, just playground stuff, just silliness, you know? And so I think that's where I try to be. I don't have anything besides X because I'm like, I guess I have Facebook, but I just don't spend much time on it because it just doesn't, it's incredibly unhelpful to me. I just don't find it adding value to my life. Maybe that's what I'd say. But that's me, and I'm not saying that has to be everybody.
Right.
I think that's important to say.
Yeah. These are our experiences, not, what'd you say? It's not prescriptive.
Yeah, we're trying to be specific in the conversation, but not prescriptive and telling people, here's what you have to do. I just don't think that's helpful.
How do you because you made a comment, you just said that like news companies, social media companies, they're very intentional.
Yeah.
About, to create addiction. Like we need this stuff, whether you want to call it like actual addiction or just whatever.
Well, they're certainly trying to keep our attention. Yeah. Right. We could say that for sure. If they're not trying to create addiction, they're definitely trying to keep us dialed in and plugged in.
So some people would say, I totally agree. Like for me, if this is my example, like, like reels. Yeah. Like those are, I thought about this too. It's like, those are so addicting to me. Like it used to be like 5 years ago, I would hop on YouTube and watch like top 25 LeBron James highlights. That's all I watched. I watched the greatest basketball player of all time.
It's amazing they could come up with 25.
I know. Yeah. There's a million and they had to shrink it 25. And I'd be able to sit through a 50-minute video and be like, just engaged the whole time. Like, how did he do that dunk from the free throw line? How does he have that? He's just the best player of all time. Now with reels, if a reel is longer than 10 seconds, I get bored. I go, no, get to it. So I can't watch videos anymore. And I'm like, and they're intentional. Yeah, it's like, it's getting to that, like the dopamine rush where it's like, get to the point right away. So the reels are the worst.
Yeah. So this is, it's shaping you, right? I mean, it is shaping you.
Oh yeah. So my question is, I feel like most people my age would say, we all agree the reels are so dumb. There's nothing here that's, again, there's 1 in 20 reels will be like, I actually learned something that was helpful for my life. And we all agree it's shenanigans. And yet we are still just going through it. So how do you get to a spot of saying, I think we've mentioned vision sometimes a little bit, but like, how did you get to a spot of saying, this is shenanigans and now I can turn away from it? Yeah.
I mean, that's where I need to be careful because I'm older, right? So I didn't like that stuff's come into my life. I I didn't like wake up in it, right? Where a lot of people your age and younger, for sure, my kids, like it's just there.
Yeah.
So, it's a different point of view, and there has to be some degree of understanding or empathy or whatever, just to understand, okay, I'm coming at it from a certain angle. I don't know. I mean, I think there has to be a question of, do I really believe this is contributing to my life positively? If I don't, then am I willing to make some intentional decisions to start to at least limit it?
Right.
We've talked about the book Renovation of the Heart by Dallas Willard, and in there he used this acronym VIM. Mm-hmm. He says every bit of change that happens in someone's life goes through this process where there is a compelling vision of a reality that you're not experiencing now. So
my life could be like this.
Yeah. And take something like language learning. It'd be amazing to be able to speak Spanish fluently, right? So you have this compelling vision, and the vision drives you. You're like, I want that so badly. And so that forms an intention or the decision to say, I'm gonna take steps to make that happen. And then comes the means, the practical things you do. Okay, I'm going to take Lingo. I'm going to download Duolingo. I'm going to buy a book. I'm going to get in conversations with people that speak Spanish or whatever. It seems like most of us try to just do the M part. All right, I'm going to limit my screen time, but we haven't cultivated why I think this would really be so good. Yeah. And so to me, the question would be, if I look at the long-term view of my life, and I look at it with consuming media the way I am now and without consuming media the way I am now, which one is more compelling to me? Which one do I think is what God wants for me? It's the life that he's calling me to. And I think we need to do a little work on actually stirring up a vision for, if we're going to try to make a change, we need to do some work on stirring up a vision for why that actually would be very beneficial. The other thing I think about on this a lot is, like we're made, if you go back to the garden, like God gave great purpose to Adam and Eve, to subdue the earth, to work it, to cultivate the land. And they were supposed to, there was meaningful work that they were doing. There's some people that would say that the garden was like sacred space, right? And their job was to expand the borders of the garden, right? So outside the garden, there was chaos. In the garden, there was order. That's God's order, God's space. It's like a temple almost. And their job was to expand God's influence, God's kingdom, so to speak, his ways, expand out in the world, subdue the earth, fill it, right? And bear my image. There was great purpose, great work to do. I often wonder whether part of the reason we're so compelled by shenanigans is because our life just doesn't feel that meaningful. And so there are times where I wonder if I'm talking to young people, but particularly when I'm talking to, there's been some younger guys that come to mind immediately. You're made to be caught up in a drama, something that matters. Like getting out of bed is supposed to mean something. And if you're not, you're not compelled. You're not like, no, what I'm doing today matters. It matters for eternity. And whether, even if your work is menial, you're slinging coffee at a coffee shop, like still conceiving of that as you're an image bearer of God, intended to fill the earth and subdue it and bring about good and advance the knowledge of God in the world. I'm caught up in that work. If I'm not, I'm just looking for something to make me feel decent today. So there's times where if I start scrolling on social media, I'm like, you know what? There are way too many things that are too important for me to spend time with this, right? I can pay attention to my kids. That's important. But if I don't realize there's meaningful work that God has given me.
Yeah.
Then who cares if I spend the next 2 hours doing this?
Yeah.
So I do think understanding that there is important work God's called us to, and being caught up in that, to me, feels like a very important part of what it means to be human. And if we're lacking that, we're going to look for something that's just going to help us feel better for the next 2 hours,
Which I think that's why, like you said, vision is so important, because I've done this myself. It's like, it's so silly how Apple phones give you all the resources to like get you off your phone. It's like, what if you just, it's weird how they create themselves. But it's like, if you just jump to the means of like, that's why I appreciate your sermon. You weren't saying, here are 5 things you need to do practically to stop being shaped poorly.
1 hour limit, that kind of thing, right?
What it does is like, people just jump to the means. They have no vision. Like, I'm doing this because I probably should. Then they do it and they fail probably because there's no buy-in, and then they just get frustrated. Like, I'm powerless. And that's what I felt with the reels a little bit. It's like, I want to stop this. It's like, I don't know. But then I kind of thought about like, man, God, you are you've brought me out of anxiety and addiction, things like that. You can surely help me with this. And thinking about a vision of like I love that point of like, there are way better things to use for my time. Like, one thing I do now is just simply get on Christianity Today. It's like, or I tried woodworking for a little bit. That did not last. Wood burning. Wood burning. Yeah.
What's that?
You burn wood.
Huh.
Like, it's pretty cool.
Like a brand? Like you're burning like a brand
you
into
like
it?
cut. You literally have a piece, and I would burn. Like, no, it's like a pen.
Oh.
It didn't last, and it would smell so bad. Huh. But like, that kind of was like this craving. I want to create this is better, or like just something where it's like, there are better things for me to do than this. I don't need to go change the world, but there's good I can bring into the world. And me scrolling through reels or posting about flowers on Facebook, that's a bad example. But there's better things than that. So I think vision is so important. I think I'm curious about, I wonder if people walked away from the service being like, I wish you would have gave us some practical. I did. I was like, I want some tips. Give me some steps.
Yeah.
And I think that just goes to our nature of like, we just, rather than being like, is it shaping me? And letting God can do the work of like, God, is it shaping me? And then him helping us see that and allowing there to be like, okay, I don't want to live that way.
Yeah.
I want to go somewhere else, and then getting caught up in this different way of living.
I think generally if the vision's there, the means aren't hard to figure out.
Yeah.
I mean, even like some of the books we recommended, the TechWise family. I mean, Jonathan Haidt in that Anxious Generation says no social media before 16, period. He would say research says you shouldn't have it.
And then no phones in school.
No phones in school, that kind of stuff. TechWise family, Andy Crouch has got very tangible, like practical things. I think the hard thing about getting too practical in a sermon is everyone's just at such a different place, And so for someone that's consuming 24/7 news on Time Warner cable, if that exists still,
No.
I don't even know.
There's no way.
It's probably not YouTube TV though. It's probably something like Charter Communications. Anyway.
Also.
So if someone's consuming that, and I sit here and I talk about social media, there's no relevancy, and it's like everything we're consuming. We're just trying to consider how do we be thoughtful, how do we be intentional, and how do we have the humility to say, maybe I'm not as in control as I think I am.
How do you think the series is called Everyday Disciples, and isn't it like becoming a disciple of Jesus in the 21st century? 21st
century. Yeah.
That always threw me off because it's the year 25, but the 21st.
That's right.
It makes no sense. How do you think Jesus would have engaged with like the news and social media stuff like that?
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. What do you think? I'm just trying, like, that's always so good to think about. Like, if he's our teacher, like Brian talked about 2 weeks ago, he's our teacher. Right. We're his students. It's like, if he was living my life today, how would he be engaging with that? Like, would he be posting selfies? Would he like I said, we don't want to say all social media is bad. I don't think he'd be running from it, hiding from the news and things like that. But it'd just be so fascinating to think about from a eternal, like, biblical perspective of like, what would that have looked like?
I think it's not a specific answer, but it's like whatever it would look like to engage according to wisdom. Mm-hmm. And that's where, to me, the question that's harder to answer, but it's the more important question is, am I using wisdom as I engage in these things?
What's the definition of wisdom again?
Brian said back in 2016, he said skillful living. I think a number of times I just said it. To me, it's the ability to walk through life with insight and with understanding, and so be insight and understanding about a lot of things. How's this shaping me? Is this good for me? Insight and understanding about the way human beings are made. As a human being, I don't have the capacity to be 7,000 places at once. And so is it good for me to consume something that's trying to take me 7,000 places at once? All those kind of understanding, like I'm finite. I'm not God. I can't be everywhere at once. I can't care about everything at once. I can't live constantly dialed in or constantly online engaged with people. I can't do it. So insight, not just about the media, but insight also about myself and understanding about myself and the way I'm wired and my limitations and accepting my limitations. That's what wisdom is. It's taking all that stuff into consideration and then acting appropriately because all that stuff's been considered, So whatever it would look like for him, it would look wise. And there's a way to engage with all of it wisely. Now there is technology. There is technology. I was thinking when I was preparing for it, I was like, is it morally neutral? Right? Does that make sense?
Is it?
Yeah, is it neutral and our use of it determines whether it's good or bad? Or is there some technology that's just bad? And I decided there's some that's just bad. It's created with the intent to do bad things to us, right? So even if social media is intentionally trying to addict us, that's no longer morally neutral.
Would you say it is?
It certainly seems like it.
Because I've read somewhere that didn't they bring in brain, people who know the brain, study the brain. It's oh my gosh,
neurologists.
Sounds so silly. Yeah, they brought certain people in to give insight to Instagram people. Hey, how do we best set them up so they always want to be engaging with it?
Yeah,
maybe that's The Social Dilemma. Is that the documentary?
That documentary. Yeah.
It's a weird line though of any organization is trying to figure out a way to get people coming back because it's a business.
Yeah. That's right.
And it's not necessarily a malevolent thing.
That's right.
When I'm editing this podcast, I'm putting stuff at the beginning of it with little clips to get people to see oh, look, this is what's going to come up.
Yeah.
And because if you look at the graph, because I can see the stats, the graph of when people stop watching the video, it looks like this. It's just immediate drop. And then you get a few people who
Ryan tries to make some jokes and they're like, all right, turn this off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the engagement thing is difficult. So,
you're right,
it's tough to, I don't always want to ascribe malevolent intention to it, but certainly people are trying to get people to come back.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't, so I haven't landed the plane for myself on whether or not my general posture is technology is, it's neither good nor bad. There is some technology I think it's clearly bad. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. But
pornographic websites.
Well, sure, absolutely. It's using people and it's addicting people and it's robs people of dignity and it's horrific. But even take something nuclear energy, right? That can be a really good thing.
Right.
It can also decimate cities. And it's it depends, put it in the hand of the user, and who's using it for what purposes. And so anyways, it's an interesting conversation, but I don't know. The reason I'm asking about it is would there be certain things Jesus would be like, I will not engage with that. I think wisdom would say he probably wouldn't. I think there'd be certain things where he'd say, I don't see, there's not enough good that comes from this to justify the use of it, but I don't know what those things would be. I could say they're the things I've chosen, but that wouldn't be a good thing to say. It's so
if you don't do this, you're wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like that. So,
but they're as you're preparing the sermon and teaching, were there things that you're again, this podcast is about not just sitting there. So we can get to maybe at the end of things that we feel like we want to do to engage with technology, but were there things as you're preparing being I never thought about that, I want to apply that to my life? Or No,
well, yeah. I mean, wisdom, just considering wisdom, period, makes you consider a lot of things, right? Because we want to operate with wisdom in everything. I think even just thinking about, I mean, it's not some profound insight, but just the reality that all of us come into the world foolish. And wisdom has to be acquired. I think it's just one of those things again that and there's no guarantee any of us are going to acquire it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a sobering reminder. So that was interesting. When I thought about social media specifically, there are times where even using X or Twitter, I'm like, I don't know if this is helpful. Facebook for sure, I've stopped using for the most part. Instagram,
why Facebook?
For the most part, I've stopped using. I just use Instagram when I travel, and mainly I use it because I'm like, it's a place where I can. It's a place where I can grab my photos. I'm the only one who uses it like that. I think that's one of the things you make fun of me for.
His profile, like we were at a Creighton basketball game and you're like, let's get a picture of this and then put some filter on it maybe. And you're like, there's just no caption. Just post it. I'm like, what was that?
It's for me. I know what it was.
I want to look back at it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I want to look at it.
He uses social media. No social, just for himself.
I go scroll my own Instagram feed sometimes just because I got pictures of like Sam when he's 3 years old walking around Madrid. I'm like,
do you like your own posts?
No.
You're like, that's a pretty good
no,
one.
You
right
can't
there.
do that.
Double tap that one.
No. I don't know what I was going to say. You distracted me now. But you asked why Facebook. My experience of Facebook is it's a lot of anger. Now there are things to be angry about in the world.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know that I need help being angry. It's like I don't need someone to remind me or chastise me on Facebook because I'm not angrier than I already wrestle with being, right? I mean, there's plenty. It's like, so I find it unhelpful. I still have it. I still use it from time to time. There's different groups I might be a part of or whatever that I might go use, but it's interesting. One thing I didn't say about technology that I think is very interesting is is that the two of the terms, not all of them, but two of the terms are very interesting. So influencers is an interesting thing. The other thing is just interesting, the following. I'm not saying they were co-opting biblical language. I don't think they were. But it is interesting that the call that Jesus makes is follow me. But we all are saying, do I want to follow this person? Do I want to follow this person? And I think the intentional piece of it is just maybe to think a little bit about what often comes with following. Now, I'm not saying we think we're discipled by them.
Right.
We need to have a tiny bit of humility though to say, but maybe I am a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I am a little bit. They're serving. They're teaching me something.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. We're all teaching each other things all the time.
Yeah.
But am I taking that into consideration when I choose who I'm following,
So it seems like we come back to the same question. How much time are we at?
45 minutes.
Okay.
How long do you want us to go?
I mean, we've gone like around an hour before. I mean, whatever.
Are you bored at this point?
No, I'm chill.
No, I mean.
But you have to edit all this by today.
Yeah. I don't have anything that I've seen or heard rather, I guess, that needs heavy editing necessarily. Yeah. So I don't know.
Anything else you think we should talk about?
Well,
I think we can set new don't just sit there challenges that have to do with maybe technology in some way of like, this is some way that I'm going to
it's hard for me. I don't know that I have any really for myself.
I was going to bring up, where do they start? Because it seems like we keep coming back to a spot of like, just evaluate it, just take an honest look. So I think we should go from that because it's like, where do I start?
Yeah. And Aidan, do you want to bring your microphone up a little bit? You've been slightly off mic.
Bro, that was the first time I've done
it. I've been doing a really good job of it, honestly.
I almost sent you guys, my best friend listened to the podcast. He goes, hey man, one thing.
Jeff, just say Jeff.
Jeff, Jeff's like, one thing, you got to talk to Aidan about not tapping the table so much.
He said that.
Really?
Yeah. And I go, hey, send me, text me a recording of you telling Aidan that. And so he did, but I didn't send it because he was too kind and too serious. I thought he'd be like, Aidan, stop it. But it was more like, hey, he sent it like he was sending it to me. And it was like, hey, Ryan, just might want to talk to Aidan. And I was like, nah, that's not what I was looking for a rebuke, you know?
That's
been
great.
good. Having my leg up has been helpful.
Yeah, you have been
Good to know for the future.
Snap my ankle. So we'll go to where do you start and then some challenges.
Yeah, I don't know that I can come up with any challenges for myself.
Yeah, he's got to figure it out.
No, I don't have it figured out, but I don't know that I consume that much. I mean,
I'm just going to go for the reels again.
So, I mean, if you can't think of a current challenge for yourself, because I also like try really hard to disconnect myself from my phone or disconnect myself from technology and stuff like that. But I already know then what those things that I do are. Like I have, you were talking about all the different things that iPhones have built into them. I have downtime set on my phone for like,
Do you already do any of that stuff?
Until like 9 o'clock and then
Like
at
the
the
code?
nighttime.
no.
Yeah. So there you go. So, I mean, that could be the thing of like, here's the thing that I already do. Maybe. And like, that's not something I'm saying that you should do, but here's like a possibility of like, I have this downtime set on my social media, so I can't even look at it until this time of the day. So like when it's the morning, I have to just focus on the morning and stuff like that.
Or you should hit on that vision too. That could be good.
Yeah, we can talk. All right. So I want to get a little practical, right?
Something we've gone back to over and over again that you brought up in the sermon was one of the questions was, how is it shaping us?
Yeah.
So as we think about someone listens to this and goes, yeah, I do want to change my engagement with it. What's a good starting spot?
Yeah. Like we said already, it's first of all to assess and do a bit of like an audit, something like a technology audit, something like that, and just ask yourself. And if the answer is, you know what, this thing is using me, then the next question is, okay, what now? I don't want to bypass some of those books. I think they're helpful.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it just depends in what way it's bothering. So one of the things that I have found is I love that I can carry around, I carry my phone around and I can, number one, I can text people. Number two, I can schedule. I have my work calendar right there. I have my work email right there. We use Teams here at the church. And so Teams is right there. That's beautiful. Except that also means that when I go home, I don't really have to go home.
Yeah.
And so I can keep getting notifications that, okay, another email. So it was about a year ago that I took off, what do you call the little red number that tells you how many emails are unread?
Like notifications.
Yeah, badge. I think they're called badges.
The little badges.
I hate that you knew that and I didn't.
Well, if you want to turn them off, you got to know what they're called.
Badges? It's like the little red, like how many?
So it tells you how many unread emails you have. And I got rid of it, so I have no badges. I don't want to know how many unread emails.
Yeah.
I turned it off so it wouldn't push. Emails wouldn't push to my email. So do you know what that means?
Like notification.
Well, just the second an email comes in, it immediately fills my inbox. Or does it only check for mail when I click on my mail app?
Oh.
So I click on my mail app and that's when it checks for my email. It doesn't just send me emails and it's not the steady stream of things. So if it's 8 p.m. and I don't want to dial in and I don't want the rush of adrenaline that comes because some person emailed me with something that was challenging or whatever, I got to do some active things to make sure that doesn't happen. So I made it so my email wouldn't push to me and I made it so that I don't see any. I have no idea how many unread emails I have. So
you're not getting any email notifications?
No, I don't want any. I want to check my email when I check my email. I don't want my email to tell me when I should check it.
Has that helped?
Yeah, it's huge.
Is it set for a time to do that?
No, it's never on. I don't. My email doesn't need to always
It's not
be
urgent.
buzzing me and telling me, "Hey, check me again."
Yeah.
I turned off notifications for Teams. I don't want, if I send someone a message on Teams, I'm sending, like if I send you a message on Teams, I'm doing that because it's work related and I don't want you to be bothered by it when you're hanging out with your wife in the evening. If it were personal and I just wanted to send you something, I'd text you. But I'm sending it on Teams because I want that like partitioned off for work life.
Separate, yeah.
But what I found is I had all my notifications on. So in the same way that a text message would come in, a Teams message would come in. And I'm like, this is pointless. I never stop working because all of these things come in and I'm just the kind of person that when it comes in, I want to deal with it. And so I've turned all that stuff off so that I'm using my phone more than it's using me. Right. So those active steps have been helpful for me, but I think every active step has to be tailored to the issue at hand. Right. There's someone, man or woman dealing with pornography is, things like pure desire, and there's different things that would be appropriate depending on the issue. If it's just too much social media, that'd be a different step. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I almost want, this is probably more for people my age. I wonder what our demographics are. Do you have that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a fairly pretty even split. There's a good amount of like younger people around our age, and then some older people around your age, Ryan, and then there's like a small.
I love how you said that.
No, but like older like than us,
grandpa's
but
age.
Then like here. Actually, like if you do think like a grandpa age, we do have some older listeners like that as well.
Well, I almost just want to tell people like listen to my age, like. So if another time I would tell a story, but like I had social media, I had Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and over the course of maybe 2 years, got rid of all of it. It is amazing. I just want to know, like, if you don't, it's not about, is it shaping you? It's like, go get all social media off your phone and try it for a week.
Yeah.
And I'd be dying to know people my age who more likely consume it more, the withdrawal effects they feel, things like that.
It'd be a good challenge.
Yeah. And so that's not for everybody, but people my age who just seems our culture is all about social media. We have the influencers. I have a lot of friends who are kind of influencers.
So, hey, on that real quick, you just said withdrawal, right? So at what point would you say it would go from feeling bad to feeling good, right? Because withdrawal feels bad.
Yeah.
Right.
You're saying, when did it feel good for me again?
Yeah. So like when were you like, man, this is freeing?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I think the hard thing is if someone does it for a week and it's only withdrawal and they never get to the point where it's like, man, this is freeing actually. Yeah.
Well, the hope of feeling, do it for a week and then get back on it. It's just the whole point of it is like to assess and say, I think most people my age, even myself, be like, social media doesn't really control me. It's like, well, go get rid of it and feel the withdrawal. And like,
for sure.
And then from there, think about, okay, so why is that controlling me? I love the vision idea. Screen time is big, but like I think the thing that I'm trying to do right now is just the reels. Like when you talk about what's using you and what's not using.
Yeah, those are mindless and they can go on forever.
Dude, like it is when I'm like watching.
They would go on forever if you let them. They'll be infinite.
Yeah. I'm watching Netflix Britain and the Blitz, World War II.
Yeah.
When I'm watching, my brain is aware that I'm watching this and I'm aware of my surroundings. LeBron, top 25 plays, the news. There's still like a little bit. When I'm on a reel, it's like I go into Narnia. And time does not apply besides anything with a time pass. No. It's like Narnia backwards.
I got it.
Yeah. Time passes. It's like when I'm on those reels, it is like I don't even know what's happening. And it is using me and I can't stop. It's like I literally will say to myself, 5 more. And I'll go like 25
You'll say that?
out loud, 5 more. Okay, 25 more. Like I won't stop. So that's where I'm like, that's using me. So that question you posed was like, that is using me.
Isn't it interesting with the reels? It's like, using a metaphor, it's like allowing someone in the street to grab you by the hand and say, hey, follow me. I'm taking you wherever I want to take you.
And it goes everywhere.
Anywhere. Yeah. I'm taking you wherever I want to take
highlights. World War II. Mostly for me because I love sports and history. But I'm committed to this week. Let's just stop it. And I had to be honest with God where I was like, God, I feel so powerless with reels.
Yeah.
And yet you seem to be a pretty powerful God. Can you help me with that? So I don't have
that's really important. That's good.
Practical things of like, I'm just trying for this week to see what happens this week. Yeah.
That's really good. It's really good. What'd you think about the
parent question?
brothel in your pocket?
Oh.
It's a crazy thing. I mean, when I was a kid, to see something illicit, something wrong, something bad for me, I had to find a friend who had it, and I had to go to his house. Or I had to be very brazen and go purchase something at the 7-Eleven in Omaha, Nebraska. Right? Like, I mean, that's a very public thing. I just think the nature of the world we're entering into now is so private, right? You're watching those reels. No one knows what you're watching.
Yeah.
No one will know necessarily except you and the Lord, you know, and the algorithm that's following all of it.
It knows me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's a powerful, and that's where what I was trying to say to parents is, I'm not saying like put the clamp down and just, you shouldn't even let it. Would I trust my kid to go wander around anywhere where a bunch of bad actors might want to influence him negatively? Soon, did we have one more thing we wanted to talk about? Didn't you say 2 things? We need to make challenges for ourselves.
Some kind of,
I did. That's what I just did.
You said reels.
Yeah.
So say it again. I didn't get it then.
I'm just saying no to reels this week.
Okay.
And then saying, God, how can I be more intentional with my time? I don't have in terms of like a tangible step. The tangible step is no reels.
So how are you going to accomplish that?
A lot of it has been the vision. Like literally it's been like, this is dumb. I don't know. This might be a little weird. Whenever I watch reels that are dumb, I hear Ryan's voice in my head.
Okay, great.
I don't know.
Sorry.
At some point you said something to that, so I just feel like, and it's almost me a little bit of a condemning head or voice. So it's not something you've said to me, but it's like, you probably have talked about this before with me. So I just picture that a little bit.
I hope it's not a condemning voice.
I interpret it as that. Maybe it's like, what are you doing? That's what I literally hear sometimes with Ryan, which is probably like, because you're a mentor to me. Anyways, and that's helped a little bit of vision of like, this is dumb. So literally what I'm trying to do is not go from reels to let's go read or go garden. It's like, no, just do one thing a little bit better. Yeah. Go watch. I literally am like, just watch a LeBron video, a 20-minute video, and try that. Just one step up to get me away from like scrolling, or like go read an article on your phone. Don't throw your phone across the room. Don't break your phone and get like a razor, but just do one step above.
Something a little more intentionality. You choose what you're going to watch instead of it choosing what you're going to watch.
Yeah. Little steps. Like that.
Little step, baby steps, if you will.
Yeah, you could say that. I'm a big boy. I'm not a baby though.
You ever seen What About Bob?
No.
That's a Bob movie. You've seen What About Bob?
I don't think so, but
really?
It's come up enough times in conversation with you that I feel like I have.
During
not with me.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Is it Bob Murray?
What?
What's his name?
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray?
Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, so here's what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to do a full day.
Oh boy.
Where I leave my phone at home.
Oh.
I'm going to go 8 hours without my phone.
Can you do that?
Yeah, why not?
Like, what if you have an emergency?
I can get calls on my computer.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to travel back in time to 1994 when we didn't carry phones with us everywhere. You ever been on an airplane? You're like, it's an amazing feeling to not be accessible. Like,
no.
Yeah, well, it is an amazing feeling. I'm going to do that one day. And I'm going to pick up a book that I've been meaning to read.
What book?
I'm not going to tell you because you're going to make fun of me.
What book?
One Day in the Life of Ivan Ilyich is, or no.
Who?
No. What's this book called? It's by Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Every word you've been saying for the last 10 seconds, I've understood 0 of that.
Alexander.
I think it's One Day in the Life of Ivan Ilyich.
Who is that?
Solzhenitsyn. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich.
Who is that?
We're going to find out.
It's
he's probably a composer, makes piano music or something weird like that.
Who's Alexander Solzhenitsyn?
No, set in a Soviet labor camp. He was a prisoner.
Oh, that's cool.
It's about a guy being in the gulag.
Why did you act like I wouldn't like that, bro? I'm a history guy.
Because you're like, of course, you name some Russian book, and you'd make fun of me, and you'd be like, "Give me a break."
No, dude, you were alive during the Cold War.
If you said like something by Dostoevsky, then we would be like, "Come on, man, an intellectual man over here."
I'm trying to finish.
Can I have your
Crime
phone?
and Punishment? Man,
Oh, really?
It's a slog.
Can I have your phone? Well, you don't have it, just so I can keep you accountable.
And drain your money out of your bank account.
It's a joke, Ryan. All right, let's wrap this up.
I was going to give it to you.
I'll take it.
I was going to give it to you, but you could take pictures still. All right. That was it. I opened us, so you ought to close us.
We are posting every first and third. Is our season going to end soon?
No. So I mean, theoretically,
there's no off season for you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no
theoretically,
off-season.
this was going to be
working.
like 10 main topic episodes and then 10 Q&As. I don't know what that looks like now. We're just kind of doing it.
So next one's a Q&A, so they need to send in there.
Send your Q's and A's. This will be released. Yeah. So if you have thoughts, or if you were at the church service this past weekend and you have thoughts on that, or things that you've been trying, let us know. We will post this soon, and it'll post Q&A next. Subscribe. Nope. That's the technology in me. Subscribe below. No.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Post at lincolnbereanpod.org. No. What
What are you trying to say right
Don't
now?
just sit there, pod at lincolnberean.org is the email address.
For your questions.
You can access this
On
podcast
Spotify, on
Spotify.
YouTube.
All these technological platforms that
we're
are
so-
trying to addict you.
Yeah.
You
Check
can
us
find
out,
it,
though.
You can find it there.
We're the light in the darkness.
Hey,
Anyways,
trying
thanks
to
for
be.
watching, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.
All right.
All right.